So you've either got a brand new business or this is your first time advertising on Facebook ads and you want to make sure to utilize or make the most out of your low budget. So what is the best Facebook ad strategy for low budget ad accounts, both in the e-commerce and local business spaces? If you're new to the channel, you don't yet know who I am. My name is Justin and I'm the founder at paidadvertising.com, an online marketing growth firm having profitably spent over $9.6 million on ads last year alone, having worked with over 140 plus clients in various industries and niches. And with that said, let's get straight into today's video. So what is the best low budget Facebook ad strategy? Now, if you are familiar with the channel, and I'm going to assume you aren't, you may or may not know that we use a very similar ad account structure across both our e-commerce and local business division. So meaning the ad account structure in itself doesn't change much. The pressure is at the creative level. I've always been saying lately, creative is the new targeting. And this is a question that reoccurs quite a lot, both on the channel here and both in our private community of students, where right here, one of our students asked the other day what to do if he had a client with a low budget, right? So let me give you some context around that. I recently made a video, which I also posted in my community right here, talking about the best way to structure a new ad account, or I say new ad account, any ad account for that matter, right? And I was talking about how there's like two ways right now that we're testing. So we've got like a CBO and an ABO way of doing it. In both cases, we typically like to use dynamic creative tests to bundle up our ads together. So the structure looks like this. You either have a CBO or an ABO campaign. You have dynamic creative tests. So at the ad set level, you turn on the little toggle that says dynamic creative testing, and then you upload 3 photos or 3 videos, 2 pieces of copy and 2 headlines of the exact same type. Okay. So what it looks like again right here is, and I could kind of draw that for you. You have 3 creatives. So I'm just going to say CR, CR, CR. Then you have 2 headlines, and then you have 2 pieces of copy right here, okay? One of those, and I'm gonna put that with a little star. One of the headlines and one of the piece of copy will actually be the account's best performing one. So you only need to actually create 1 new headline and 1 new piece of copy to put under a dynamic creative test. If this is a new account, you don't yet have a winning headline or a winning copy, then just go ahead and only do 1 headline or 1 piece of copy, okay? Now, the budget question, which is what do I do if I have a low budget? Because a lot of people asked me last time that I made a video like this. They're like, well, Justin, what do I do, right? Because I recommended that people typically set, if they do an ABO, that the daily budget of an ad set should be at least KPI that you're trying to hit, and you test every 3 days. I'll give you an example. Let's say you want to aim for a $10 CPA or $10 cost per lead. Well, then you would actually put in this ad set to $10 a day. So you'd have 3 creatives you test at the same time. And then after 3 days, once you've let these ad sets spend 3 times KPI, then this is where you make a decision about whether to keep them or not. And if you have a CBO campaign, somewhat similar, just in the sense that instead of putting, let's say, $10, $10, $10, you would actually want to put this campaign at $30 a day and let it kind of split across these. Very rarely are you going to get equal amount of budget across 3 ads. Usually 1 ad is going to over-index more on that said budget, which is fine, by the way. So go back to the question at hand right here. Our student right here asked us, like, what if I don't have enough money? What if I cannot spend my cost per lead or my CPA target daily per ad, right? My ad account as an example, he's like, let's just say my cost per lead target is $30 and I only have a daily budget of $32 per day, right? Which is about $1,000 a month. What am I supposed to do? It's like, I can't spend $90 a day, right? Across so $30 a day on 30 ads. He's like, what do I do here? Do I just spend more at the start and then lower the spend later? Like, what's the best way forward? So then I kind of respond to him. I'm like, well, what you'd want to do is you want to lose less ads. So that way each ad gets more money allocated to them. So he's like, well, would I just run 1 ad in this example? He's like, I probably can't just 1 ad, right? It doesn't make sense. The answer is yes, you would run 1 ad in the example that Jonathan gave. The number 1 mistake I see low budget ad accounts owners or marketers make is that they over-index themselves on too many ads. They'll have 5 ads on the account with, let's say, $5 or $10 daily budget, and they'll be wondering why they're not getting results. It's because they're using too little ad spend for too many ads. That ad spend gets so diluted across the ads that there's no way they actually can produce results in a short amount of time. So what I basically told our student right here is the following. You'd have 2 choices realistically with the low budget budget ad account. You either, number one, run in this example that our student gave me, you run one ad only at $30 a day for 3 days. After 3 days, you now either kill this ad if it's below KPI, or you ask your client for more budget, or if it's yourself, right? If you are watching this video as a business owner, then you do it for yourself, right? You increase budget by launching a second ad and allocating more budget towards it. And you repeat that process, and that's kind of how you quote unquote scale. You build an anti-fragile base by always making sure you at least have like one ad that's working, and then you keep building on top of it. So if you follow this first structure, then that means you would be testing, if every single one of your ads fail, you would be testing 10 ads a month, which look, even usually the worst marketers are probably going to get a 5 to 10% hit rate, which means 5 to 10% out of every single ad they will make will eventually be a good ad, will be a winning ad. So that should mean that within a month or two, you probably or most definitely will find a very scalable ad. And once that happens, you unlock more budget by speaking to your client or speaking to yourself if you are the business owner, and you crank this up to launch a new ad. Or you wait longer, which is what usually people don't do because they're afraid of waiting too long. And that's the big thing. Most beginners are directed by fear. They're afraid of either losing money by spending too much, or they're afraid of losing money by letting an ad live for too long. And that's usually what ends up killing them, because again, they have either too many ads with too little of a budget, and they make decisions super rapidly. So that's like a recipe for disaster, because all of your ads are not getting the budget they need. You just keep repeating that cycle of launching too many ads with too few budget, which means you're doing a lot more work than you should be doing. You're not letting Facebook actually enough time for it to start spending and really getting you results. And now yourself or CMO or your client or whatnot are now worried because results aren't coming in. So you're losing money and you're spending too much time on the account because again, you have too many ads or too little of a budget. So that said, the second thing you could do is, as an example, you run 3 ads at $10 a day each, right? Or a CBO with a $30 a day ad spend. You let the ad run for 6 days in this case, which now you would have spent 2 times the KPI on each ad, which is bare minimum to make a decision. I recommend 3 times KPI, but honestly, if you want to play it quote unquote safer, you should spend at the very minimum 2 times KPI. And that's the same way I treat my own ads, as an example, right? For one of my businesses, I want to book calls for $200 or less. I will spend per ad $200 a day and let them run for 3 days. So $600 spent before I make a decision about whether or not to kill this said ad. And then again, you make a decision to kill or keep the ads live. So answering the overarching question of this video, how do you run a low budget ad account? You do it the same way you would with a high budget ad account. You do it exactly as mentioned right here with either one of these 2 structures that you have right there. And the goal is, regardless of the structure you're going to be using, you're either going to use less ads. Yes, it might mean you only launch 1 ad at a time if your client has too little of a budget. And if they're asking you, well, Justin, why are you only launching 1 ad of my ad account? You need more ads to test. I'll explain to them the same logic I explained in this video, or perhaps send them this video, right? Because thing is, there is just no point in splitting the budget too much. You're, again, just not going to get results. It's not going to be fun, to be honest. Like, it's just going to be a shit show and a recipe for disaster. So either you have less ads or you let each ad live for longer. Instead of optimizing every 3 days, in your case, you might have to optimize every 6 days, every 7 days, maybe even every 10 days. But realistically speaking, with the way you're going to split your budget across all ads, rule of thumb, don't over-index yourself in a way where you can optimize in like less than 7 days, or at least you should be indexing yourself in a way where you can optimize within less than 7 days. Meaning, if you have the lowest of budgets, right? If you have, let's say, $5 a day budget and your cost per lead target is $15, right? If you launch 1 ad, it would take you 3 days to know whether or not this ad works. If you launch 2 ads, it would take you kind of 6 days, right? If you launch 3 ad, it would take you, where's my math now? About 9 days or so, right? That starts to be too much, right? Yes, it's cool to wait longer because you have a lower budget, but it's just too long of an optimization cycle. Anything after 7 days, to be honest, it just means you have too many ads for too small of a budget. So long story short, reduce the amount of ads you use and or have a longer optimization cycle to make up for the lower budget you have in your ad account. And as soon as results start creeping up, simple, you increase the budget, which now unlocks you more space and more budget for you to plug and play new creatives. And that's how you slowly build an account that has quote unquote an anti-fragile base, meaning it doesn't have just one winning ad, it has 2, 3, 4, 5. So that way it's much more scalable, it's much more robust as you scale. So if you made it this far through this video and you want to learn more about our advertising process, check out the second link in the description down below and join our ad engine community where we can really help you master your paid ads. On that note, check out other videos on the channel for some more useful marketing tips, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.